If I had to start my fragrance collection over from scratch, I would pick these fragrances. So guys, let's say for example, I've been collecting fragrances for over a decade now at this point. If I had to start it all over, I would pick these fragrances here. I have 3 non-negotiables, 3 daily picks, 3 kind of general picks, and then I have 2 more if you stick through to the end. And then from there, you'll have a full collection, you'll have a full rotation going. Then everything else from there is just a matter of your pick, your presence, your selection. All right, let's get into it. Number one. Now, number one, the first fragrance we're gonna get, the first fragrance I would have to always pick is my Daily Driver fragrance. This is the fragrance I'm wearing day to day, every day, whether it's work, whether it's to the gym, whether just as I'm going out and about, you know, just kind of having daily life, I would get this fragrance here. Now, when I think about it, you want something that's versatile, you want something that's fresh because you're going to be using it more so earlier in the day. You want something that is long lasting, versatile. So I'll get this fragrance here. This one is from the brand of Yves Saint Laurent, and this one here we're going to go with is Yves Saint Laurent Y, and this one is the Eau de Parfum Intense. All right. Now, EDP Intense from YSL, one, it gets the brand recognition and it gets sort of that blind reach factor with having a YSL fragrance. This one, the fragrance DNA is already tried, tested, and proven with the original EDP, then with the other fragrance, the Y Le Parfum, and even they've come up with an elixir since then. But this one is the blind safe kind of pull fragrance that I could get. I can go out blind by it. I know it's going to have that YSL. I know it's going to be compliment pulling. I know it's going to be high quality. It's not going to smell overly synthetic. So you have all those boxes checked off as far as why you would get the fragrance. Now, as far as the main notes, you're going to keep that same YSL DNA largely. You're going to get that apple and ginger, but this one has that lavender and sage, so it gives it a nice herbal kind of floral. You're also getting patchouli in this fragrance, so it gives you that fresh citrusy opening. You get some woodsy notes in here as well. Then you get that nice florals in here, so a really nice balance, well put together fragrance that is going to be both compliment pulling. It's not going to be overly loud, but it's still going to have a nice presence to it. I love what they did with this fragrance DNA. They didn't make it overly one thing or the other. It's not overly tart, it's not overly citrusy, it's not overly sweet, not overly watery, so it has all the things that you want in a great Daily Driver fragrance. This one will definitely be a great selection for you to get your hands on. Now, the second fragrance I would want to get is something that is more so for the nighttime. Now, when we talk about nighttime, I want something that is more so for those luxurious kind of night out occasions. It doesn't have to be necessarily a date, but let's say I'm going out to a nice dinner. Let's say I'm going out to a nice outing and I need another fragrance. I want something that has a little bit more of a luxurious nature to it, a little bit more luxurious and high class characteristic to it. So with this fragrance that we're going to do, is going to be something that is going to still be recognizable. When you're talking about starting from scratch, you're not trying to do a whole lot of guesswork whenever you're getting the fragrance. You want to go for fragrances that you already know are good, are comment pulling, are mass pleasing. So it's not the time to get some really expensive niche fragrance, and you don't even want to so much try a cheapy fragrance. You want to make sure you're putting your dollars to proper use. So the fragrance we're going to go with is a known mass pleaser, and this one is going to be Bleu de Chanel, and this is the Eau de Parfum. Now, whether you get the EDT, the EDP, or the Parfum, as far as which flanker you get from Bleu de Chanel is really going to be your personal preference. What I can tell you is all 3 fragrances have their slight characteristics, alterations, changes, aside from just the perfume concentration, right? For me, I quite enjoy the Eau de Parfum just because the EDT is a little bit too citrusy, right? And then the Parfum is a little too woody. I think the EDP for me has the perfect balance and blend as far as all the notes that you want. Something fresh, luxurious, rich, woodsy, masculine, right? So all those things. The thing with Bleu de Chanel too is that while it is mostly recognizable, that's not always a bad thing. Sometimes that's the conversation starter. When you're talking about going out to a nice dinner or to a function for work, let's say, I always talk about this is the conversation starter fragrance. You wear it and people recognize it. Hey, is that Bleu de Chanel? Now you've already broken the ice without even having to say a word. See, so that's another hack, is that fragrance creates opportunities and creates conversations, and sometimes it's your icebreaker. You don't have to say anything when people already recognize your scent. I think I recognize that fragrance. Hey, what is that you're wearing now? The tension is lax, especially if you're meeting strangers, let's say for the first time, all right? But aside from that, guys, I mean, again, Bleu de Chanel, again, another mass-pleasing, comment-pulling, rich, luxurious, night-out fragrance, kind of special occasion fragrance, right? So you got your Daily Driver, which is the Y EDP Intense. Now that's your night-out sort of occasion, high-class fragrance, okay? One that you are gonna be cognizant and you're gonna be calculated in terms of saying, I need this, so you're gonna put your money together. And you only have 2 fragrances at this point, so you have a nice selection already just off of that. All right, now the third and final, at least non-negotiable fragrance I would have to get is I would have to get a date night fragrance, right? That fragrance that I only pull out for that special someone, right? Or if I'm trying to make a nice first impression with the lady, right? You want something that is alluring, luxurious. You want something rich. You want something seductive, but you still want some masculine touch to it as well. But you do want it kind of more so alluring, sensual. So I thought about the fragrances in my collection that I would really kind of go with, and many of us who know my affinity for this one aren't going to be surprised. This one here is Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male Le Parfum. And I can't say enough good things about this fragrance. I'm always recommending it because this is really, truly probably one of the most complimented fragrances I've ever gotten my hands on. I'm on my 4th bottle, I believe, of this one. Nonetheless, this is my Day Night Road Dog. It's nice, sensual, oriental. It's got that vanilla. It's got iris in here. You also get some spices as well. Really nice overall night out day night fragrance. And the thing is, you usually use day night fragrances for, you know, sort of night out weather. Hopefully it's not too warm, otherwise it's not the best. But usually fall, winter, even spring nights, this one definitely can get the job done for you. This fragrance is sophisticated, it's magnetic, it's really alluring, really sophisticated, and it's really sensual, seductive. I love this fragrance. And again, it's a designer, so you don't have to break the bank, but you do put that investment, but you have a nice high quality, high class fragrance selection just with these 3 picks. You got your daily driver, you got your night out special occasion fragrance, then you got your date night fragrance. All right, and just on that, if you have at least those 3 fragrances in your rotation, you're already ahead of the game. You have all your I's, all your T's crossed. All right, great selection for you. All right, so now once you get your non-negotiables out the way, now if you have a little bit of extra coins lying around and you want to kind of get another 1 or 2 fragrances as sort of a backup or as a change of pace, you can do that. So if you're not going to go with 3 and you can expand it up to 5, then what I would do next is I would probably look at getting something that is kind of my cheapie, something that I don't have to spend an arm and a leg for as far as getting a fragrance, but you maybe want something else, right? And I would start off, and I learned this too as my fragrance kind of collection and personalities evolved. If I'm gonna get fragrances, I'm gonna get fresh and clean over sweet and seductive, only because I realized over the years, especially women, the more I want fragrance, they prefer those type of fragrances. Don't get me wrong, fellas, do what you will, and your fragrance personality is your fragrance personality, right? But in terms of if I'm trying to get the most recognition and compliments out of my fragrances, then I would want something that is more so on the fresh end of the spectrum, because women have generally told me that they associate fresh and clean with sort of masculine, a man who's put together, crisp, clean, versus a lot of the aromatic fragrances can come off a little bit more feminine, a little bit more unisex, which doesn't always have to be a bad thing, but that's just some of the feedback I've gotten. But nonetheless, as far as the next fragrance I would get something cheap, but still something that I really have an affinity for. See, now you're getting into your personal wheelhouse and your personal ballpark as far as fragrance is concerned. You're not having to look at, oh, I have to get this particular one. But if I was doing it, I would get something like this here. This one is called Afnan Supremacy in Heaven. Now, the reason I'm going with Afnan Supremacy in Heaven, as far as it, one, it's really affordable. This $25. So when you talk about fragrance quality for the price, this is definitely one of those ones. I have 2 bottles. I remember actually I accidentally bought 2 of them when I hauled it the last time, and I didn't regret it. I didn't return it. I kept both of them, and I'm almost out of both of them. So as far as the main notes you're gonna get it, and the fragrance. Now, as far as main notes you're gonna be getting in this fragrance, think Creed Silver Mountain Water is the fragrance that this one is related to. All right, really nice, watery, citrusy, musky, fresh out the shower fragrance, and it's a great change up to the EDP Intense, where this one is a little bit more heavy on the citrus, on the floors, on the woodsiness. If you want something that is just kind of fresh and clean, maybe you're getting into high heat, maybe you're going into the summer, then this one is a good daily driver that is a switch up and a change up, so you're not getting such a repetitive scent DNA too, which is why I look at getting this one as well. So again, great cost, great comment pulling factor, great notes, great scent profile. I mean, all the things that you would want in a great fragrance. You just only have to pay $25 for it. So a really nice cheap option for you to get your hands on. All right, final fragrance of the day. Now, once you got your 3 non-negotiables, you got a cheapie, and then let's say you get to that point where you want to make the investment. You end up, you know, maybe it's a special occasion, you have a nice accomplishment, and you're ready to kind of pull the trigger as far as getting your next fragrance, and you're not opposed to even getting maybe your hands on your first niche fragrance, right? Then this is the time to do that. You have your full rotation, you have a cheapie as your kind of backup, and then you can kind of have your pick of the litter as far as what you do with your 5th selection. You, by that time, time will have a good gauge on what your fragrance personality will be. Hopefully you've gone out and tried a whole lot of fragrances. So then I would get my hands on my first niche fragrance. And my first niche fragrance that I would get would still be something that is mass pleasing. When you're talking about niche fragrances, you're paying a decent penny to really solid penny, depending on where you're getting it from. So I'd want still something that is mass pleasing and something that is gonna pull me a whole lot of compliments. And so then I would go with none other than this one right here. This is Parfum de Marly, and this is Layton Exclusive. Okay, now Layton Exclusive is the big bro to the original Layton, but I love this one just due to the fact it's really that scent profile done a little bit more richer, more luxurious. I'm someone who really has an affinity towards those more richer, seductive, sophisticated fragrances, right? When you look at most of my collection of over 150 fragrances, you know, you'll see a whole lot of EDPs, parfums, Estates de Parfum. You'll see the higher concentration because one, they go well with my body chemistry from what I've seen. I also like the richness of these fragrances, those ones that tend to stick and have a really good sillage to them. The EDTs, don't get me wrong, there's a place for them, and a lot of them are good, but a lot of them don't have the best longevity for me. You look at a fragrance like La Nuit de l'Homme, the original EDT. Yes, it's one of the best fragrance DNAs to ever be invented, but the main thing that people say about it is that the longevity isn't that good. I like when you get longer, lasting power, when you get that staying power, you get that nice CRs to it. Even if you have to pay a little bit more in terms of that, I would definitely get that. But nonetheless, when we talk about Layton, you're still getting all the same notes from the original Layton. You just get with the Exclusive a little bit richer, longer lasting, better CRs, better projection with this one. So if you are gonna pull the trigger and get your hands on your first niche fragrance, this will be the one to get your hands on. Obviously, is Layton expensive for some? Yes, but if you're at this point and you have the coins to pony up and you're trying to get your first one, this will definitely be a great selection for you. Alright guys, so if we recap it again, remember you start off with 3 fragrances. If I'm starting off from scratch, I want my Daily Driver, boom, EDP Intense. Once you get past your Daily Driver, you get a nice night out, special occasion fragrance, boom, Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum. Once you have those 2, you get your date night fragrance, right? Your 3rd non-negotiable, bang, Le Male Le Parfum. Alright, once you get your 3 non-negotiables, now you're getting your first cheapy fragrance, okay? Now you're gonna get this one here. This one is Supremacy in Heaven by Afnan. Alright, then lastly, if you still have some money left over, you want to get your hands on your first niche fragrance, boom, you're going to get your hands on this one here, Layton Exclusive. There you go, guys. If I had to start my fragrance collection over, I would start off with those 3 fragrances, then I would get my hands on the next 2 to start a fragrance of 5, fragrance collection of 5, and then from there, everything else from that point is a matter of just getting it, more fragrances that fit in line with your personality. You can start to specialize and niche out as you start to get more comfortable. You understand the science of buying fragrances, where to look at them, and then it becomes fun in the hobby, and then you start growing your collection just like I have behind me right here. But nonetheless, I appreciate all you guys for listening to Happen. If you found this video helpful, make sure you hit the subscribe and the follow button so you get notified anytime I drop any new fragrance content. Also, you guys can join the memberships tab and get exclusive perks as well as exclusive content. You can also drop something in the chat anytime you get the chance to if you want to further support the movement and spread the fragrance knowledge. But as always, I appreciate you guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Have a good day. Much love.